Good day all. I hope you all are safe and sound. And God bless you all. Stay home, stay safe. Let's fight out this pandemic together by staying home and staying safe and do your limited activities so as not to expose yourselves. Coming to the subject matter, what we talked about in our lecture number 11, where I had concluded in the end, bit earlier, because as I said earlier that the video what I upload, if it is more than beyond 25 odd minutes, it takes time, kind of a lot of hackling for me or perseverance for me to upload this on the social media. So not to waste the time, the last thing what we talked about regarding the STS and the vessel at anchor. Now what happened, we had brought the ships alongside, the mother vessel which is depicted over here by A and the daughter vessel which is depicted over here by B, which I'll show you shortly. They are already alongside and they did the STS. The mother vessel is at anchor, that is the vessel A. Now the problem comes to how to disconnect. This goes back to my initial lecture where I said the mantra of this is whenever we talk about two ships coming together, whether in the close vicinity or overtaking situation, depends. Even though if the vessels are of same size, the laden and ballast displacement may make the difference, which somewhere down the line acts like a magnet. That's what we're going to see here. The vessel which is marked as A is the mother vessel and the B which is the daughter vessel. Let's say the transshipment has taken place. Now the thing is, of course, the fenders are here. I'll just show you number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there is an additional fender at the bridge wing of the mother vessel. Now there is a reason to put this fender on the bridge wing that we'll talk about it. So now this I'm sharing pragmatically basis my actual experience. As I said, many of the things which we talk about, you may not find it in the books. This is pragmatically based my practical experience. So, coming to the point, the vessels have done the transshipment, now we need to disconnect. This vessel is at anchor. Now how do we do? Because what happens when the vessels came, this vessel was probably fully laden and this vessel was in ballast. During the transshipment, there is, as you can see, I've drawn this green color ship shape figure in the dotted line. As I'm trying to depict this with this my pointer, the green color ship which is depicted here is actually forming an intersection of the underwater volume of the displacement between both the ships. Because what was happening, this ship, the mother ship, that is the vessel A and daughter vessel, the B, this vessel had a higher freeboard and the mother vessel had a lower freeboard. Now what happened? During transshipment, it has gone opposite. The mother vessel has started coming up because she is discharging, daughter vessel has started going down. So somewhere down the line here, they have the intersection of the underwater volume of displacement, which is united these two ships like a magnet. Now we need to break this magnet at the time of casting off, at the time of disconnection of the ships. So how do we do it? That's what we see. So what we have to do, and what I said earlier, that this is the magnet, what we have to get rid of it. This is shown through and through, that is when we pierce through this, not on the sides, but this is all area underwater volume of displacement, what I've shown here, depicted here. So how are we going to disconnect? After we have cast off the ropes, the key rope to cast off here from the ship B after the preventers, because first thing what we do is we take off the preventers. The other thing which I also would like to share, that when the vessels are at STS doing the transshipment, this V, as you can see this V which is formed, this V should not be prolonged during the STS. That is, in case the wind is coming from here and if the wind force increases and the V prolongs, we will have a catastrophic situation during the STS because the ropes will part like a cracker. Now, conversely speaking, if the wind was coming from ahead, That is when I'm planning to disconnect these two ships. It is a boon for me. This will help me to separate the ships faster. Therefore, I mentioned here that this V should not be prolonged during the STS when the transshipment is going on. However, if the V gets prolonged, if the wind starts increasing and the vessel is facing the wind at the bow, that is definitely a boon that will help us to disconnect efficiently and faster. Now, all these maneuvers, what I am doing is without the assistance of a tug. Therefore, what I said in my first lecture, ship handling is nothing but it's a combination of the internal and external forces. Internal forces, we know what we have, that is ship steering, maneuvering capability, the rudder, the engine, etc. But the external forces, weather, wind, sea, swell, current, that if we can take advantage of it, harmonizing it, that is the best combination we will have it. So, what I'm going to do when I'm going to disconnect these two ships, as I've depicted over here, vessel A, I will be giving very short head kicks, because what happens, I have to fill up this void. What happens when I start giving the head kick, this vessel may experience maybe 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 knots a head movement, but at the same time there should be somebody standing here on the bow to monitor the anchor chain. That is very critical aspect. While this is being done simultaneously on this vessel, I will be giving stern kicks, short stern kicks. Now, what is happening by the stern kicks? The water is getting filled up into this void. That's what I want to do to break this vacuum, to break this magnet. I'm giving short stern kick on this vessel and short head kick on this vessel. If not simultaneously, maybe alternatively. Because remember, the bigger ship, dead slow ahead, its march into velocity. The momentum will be very high. That's what is to be looked into. That's the reason I said the anchor chain has to be tended to by somebody, chief officer, somebody standing back at the bow and reporting as well. There should not be a scenario that the vessel is riding the anchor and the anchor has started shifting out, and that would be catastrophic. Now see what happens. This being a right hand screw, both the vessels, again I repeat myself to make you understand better. I'm giving short ahead kick. Because of the right hand screw, there might be a slight can to the port on this vessel. And when I'm giving stern, obviously because of the transverse thrust, this bow will start, the bow of the vessel B will start canting to the starboard. At that point of time, this one which I have mentioned here, that's where the master, the mooring master, whosoever is on the bridge, will be looking after, and that is the importance of this fender. What I said, it is to be placed on the bridge wing, because somewhere down the line, when this ship is going ahead, the mother vessel is, I'm giving kick ahead, and the daughter vessel I'm giving kick astern. The daughter vessel will start canting to starboard because of the kicks astern. At that point of time, see how they are getting united, and that's where the fender which is to be fixed, a Yokohama mid-size fender or a baby fender subject to the ship size, when fitted on the bridge, gives a buffer so that no collision takes place at the time of disconnection. So, I repeat myself. Case number one, if I don't have wind, I have to separate these two ships. I'm giving kicks ahead on this vessel, the vessel A, which is the bigger mother vessel, and short kick astern on the daughter vessel. A can on the starboard will be produced on the daughter vessel. The bow will swing to starboard, the bow will can to starboard. In this case, bow will can bit to port, and the anchor chain is also probably going to pick her up a little bit. Not much, but little bit. So, this vessel is going to have a slight tendency of a lateral movement of her going to port, and this will have a lateral movement going to starboard. But the point of interest is over here. That's where we have to be careful of, that the kicks what we are giving should be in a controlled manner. So during this process, what we are doing, we are trying to fill up the void. We are trying to fill up this void over here. This void, which has been formed because of the intersection of underwater volume of displacement, we are trying to fill up the water in here so that the magnet or the void or the vacuum starts getting filling up. Once that is done, the ship will stand parallel to each other. They will not be united or attracted or joined like a magnet. And case number 2, if under the same scenario, if I have a wind here, which I am facing, that is the best thing I could ever think for a disconnection. Of course, when vessels are doing the transshipment, it's not a good idea because this V should not extend. That is during transshipment. But at the time of disconnection, same forces, wind forces can be taken in an advantageous manner. If the wind is going very strong, this V, if it prolongs, this will make my life easier for disconnection. Now, so if this part is clear, then what we say that we have disconnected, and this thing has to be monitored till the stern of the daughter vessel is coming approximately to the 1/3 of the length of the mother vessel. In other words, it has to be monitored carefully till such time the stern of this ship is up to the pivot axis, which is here for the anchored ship. It is up to the pivot axis till such time the stern of the ship comes to the close to the pivot axis of this ship. Till such time it has to be very closely monitored, and whatever the movements to be given should be slow speed control. Once that is done, let's say the bow, the stern of this ship has come up to here, up to the 1/3 of the length of this mother vessel. That's when she can go ahead and turn around and go to the starboard. She'll have to turn around, go to the starboard. Never it is to be turned to port. It has to be, she has to be turned once she's about 1/3 of the length of the bow from the mother vessel, that is at the pivot axis of the mother vessel. This vessel is coming to the stern of the pivot axis of this ship. That's the time you can start proceeding, going, increasing the speed and going to starboard until such time finally she is all clear. Now, coming to the second point. I had asked a question during one of my lectures that on SBM moorings, that is my the second topic what I'm discussing after I've completed this one, that on SBM moorings, most of the times, or majority, I think I would say all the time, and what I've done I'm sharing with you, and you also would have experienced all the time. On a right hand screw vessel, when you're tying up to the SBM, your connection will be on the port side. I had asked this question in one of my previous lectures. Now the reason being because when the vessel is tied up to the SBM and hose is coming from here, this one, in case of any emergency, right hand screw, we can disconnect the hose in an emergency and give a stern kick and clear off the bow and off we go. That is the reason on a right hand screw, when a hose is to be disconnected, be it a ULCC, VLCC, Aframax, Suez Max, whatever it is, the hose from the SBM is to be connected onto the port side. So in case of any emergency disconnection, we have a stern kick, the transverse thrust, we give a stern kick, we fall back, the bow cans to starboard, we are well cleared and we go clear of the buoy. This was the question what I asked and I answered. Now we're going to talk about how we are going to approach an SBM. Of course, it looks simpler, it's not so difficult, but then there are so many things which I'm going to share with you which you may not come across in the books. It's all based on the practical experience. SBM. Now, the length of the hawser or the chain depends upon, it's approximately between ranges between 40 to 100 meters. It ranges between 40 to 100 meters, depending upon the environmental aspect and the sea around the SBM. Because if there are shallow patches and all that, probably the hawser chain may be of little shorter size, but never less than it won't be less than 40 meters at least, and it ranges between 40 to 100 meters. And that's the reason I've written length is 40 to 100 meters. It all depends upon the environmental conditions. The other aspect what we talk about, that during SBM maneuvers, prior to that, before the pilot comes or the mooring master comes, he would recommend, and it is an international industrial practice from the maneuvering point of view, that your trim shall not be more than 3 meters, because when a vessel is coming to SBM, not necessarily that she is going to discharge, probably she may be loading also. So for a vessel in ballast, if the trim is more than 3 meters and if the wind starts picking up, it becomes difficult to handle the ship because of the windage area, especially for the bigger vessels. And if you guys have any doubt, probably I'll take a separate lecture on that and explain you accordingly. How does the windage area plays an important role besides all those aspects of hydrodynamics what we discussed earlier. Now, coming to the point that what we discussed, trim should be less than 3 meters because of the windage area. Now, the point of approach is, now something I'll show you which I always do it by myself before coming to the SBM, which again you will not find it in any more, perhaps most of the books. When I'm approximately 1 nautical mile from the SBM, that is from the tie position, because I know it's about, say about 100 odd meters approximately. That's the reason this blue dotted line has been drawn. This is about 1 nautical mile. At that point of time, the speed of approach should not be more than 2 knots. It goes with the same fundamental what I said earlier, that when we are approaching at an anchorage, when we are within 3 nautical miles range of an anchorage, the speed should be 1:2. In other words, if we have to traverse 3 nautical miles, the speed should be 6 knots. When we are 2 nautical miles off the anchor position, the speed should be reduced to approximate 4 nautical miles. Likewise, same principle is applicable over here. But I've shown you at the last point of approach, at the last leg of approach, because this is the critical maneuver, critical approach. At that point of time, when the SBM is approximately 1 nautical mile, we should have a speed of approximately, the speed over ground should not be more than 2 knots, and the tug should be standby. So, let's say when we are about 8 to 9 cables, because this mark depicts 1 nautical mile. So when we are about 8 to 9 cables away from the SBM, we should start hooking up the tug. That is, prior to that, we have aligned the ship, and also another thing which I probably missed out initially was, before approaching, of course, we know how the current is setting. Obviously, we have to stem the current, as I've depicted with the blue arrows over here. We have to stem the current at all times and head into the current when we are heading towards the SBM. So, let me put it all together. The current is setting this way, that is, if this is north, this is south, current is the direction in which it sets. So current is heading southerly, we are heading northerly towards the SBM. When we are 1 nautical mile from here, approximately, speed is approximately 2 knots, the tug is standby, and we have aligned ourselves to the SBM on a steady course, let's say 000 knot. Now, at that point of time, when we are approximately 8 to 9 cables, we start hooking up the tug. Now the thing is that it is a good practice. I've seen not many mooring masters do it, but this is just a cautious thing. I do it. The reason being, what I do, once I've connected the tug over here, and the tug is connected, I will try out the catapult movement. The catapult movement is, this is the vessel, and I've tied up the tug here. Once the tug is tied up, I'm probably I'll give a short kick dead slow ahead and ask the tug to pull. Because remember, I'm in a close proximity, so I have to do this tests prior to making a final approach to the SBM. So, I've given a short dead slow ahead kick, not for a long time, for a short time, and at the same time I've asked the tug to pull me back. So, the moment I stop, at that point of time, if I find my speed has started reducing gradually, means the tug pull will be effective. Because remember, if you are close enough in the vicinity and you have an engine failure, or if the tug has got some problem, or if the line is parted, that will be too little, too close. So to avoid this, the catapult maneuver, what I've written here, the catapult maneuver, that is when we are 8 to 9 cables off the SBM, We have connected the tug. Probably by such time we are 6 or 7. By such time the tug is fully connected. We are 6 or 7 cables away from the SBM, and the catapult maneuver has to be tested. The catapult maneuver, I repeat myself again. We have given short dead slow head kick. Simultaneously we have told the tug master to give us a pull back, and moment he started pulling back, we have stopped the main engine, and then we see whether the ship has started growing or the speed has started reducing. If yes, means we are good to go. So the catapult maneuver is tried out, the tug is made fast, so that means finally once we have finished this phase, the tug will be somewhere approximately here. She will be made fast, and at all times the tug should tend to the vessel so that the vessel should not ride onto the SBM. In other words, the SBM should be within proximity of, under the ideal condition, within the proximity of 10 degrees on the port and 10 degrees to starboard. So in other words, within this angle, approximate, within this angle, as I will draw it for you to make you understand, the SBM shall not go beyond this angle of reach. That is the reason there is a person who is kept standby here at the bow, and he reports the SBM, because anything beyond that, the vessel may come and touch the SBM. And that's where the tug also is all the time tending to the vessel. Now, again we'll talk about, we have done the connection for disconnection. Again, I'm coming back on the original question which I asked in probably one of my last lectures, and that is, we are about to disconnect, the hose is disconnected, the field boats will come and take the hoses and lay it off, and of course the tug is there. Once disconnection is there, tug may pull us off, but this is the situation in which probably if the tug is kaput, the tug is not operational. In that case, we give a stern kick on a right hand screw, stay as clear of the vessel as possible whilst we are giving a stern kick, bow is standing to starboard, and once we are well clear of the hose, we can probably go all the way hard as starboard, nothing to port. That is, if they are laying out the hose on the port. Till such time, we are at least 2 or 3 miles away from the SBM. Nothing before that. Means the port moment, if you want to go to port, ensure that you are well clear of the SBM. Now, I would thank you all for your feedback, because that is the thing which helps me to further, make my lectures custom made, so that we basically communicate and we are on same page. The next lecture what I'll be taking will be for specialized maneuverings. What I've done for a disconnectable FPSO. So if you have any more questions, queries regarding how does a disconnectable FPSO and all that is carried out, please do ask me, because I've been on many oil fields where I have disconnected. I've handled left hand single, left hand twin screw, Suez Max, Aframax for connection disconnection. Each connection disconnection used to take me approximately about 7 to 8 hours of maneuvers, and that's a different modus operandi as we speak. And we will be coming back with that lecture in another 2 or 3 days time. The reason I'm giving breather of 2 or 3 days time is that I understand you guys are giving me feedback and bombarding me with loads of questions, and I thank you for all for that, because that helps me or gives me food for thought to basically persevere and customize my next lecture as per your request. So gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks for your time. God bless. Stay home, stay safe. Thank